Globalism is in free fall. And the FBI under Clinton control, trying to cover for all their crimes, thinking she'd be president, has blown up in their face. And the fact that they didn't know when to quit and pull this whole Russiagate thing is just incredible. It is absolutely eviscerating them. And John Bound breaks it down in this report. Busted, FBI Democrat could be the final straw that accelerates their collapse.
Not your mother's FBI. What's wrong with the FBI is not the average everyday agent. They're great. It's the management at the FBI that is the problem.
Talk about the wolf guarding the henhouse. Peter Strzok, FBI deputy and Russia expert, was recently fired from the Trump collusion investigation by special counsel Robert Mueller. Strzok also led the investigation into Hillary Clinton's email server. We now know Strzok changed the language describing Clinton's criminal actions as grossly negligent to the softer legalese of extremely careless. Strzok was assigned to the task of interviewing Hillary Clinton, Huma Abedin, and Cheryl Mills. His notes claim that the women denied knowing anything about Hillary's secret server, despite emails proving otherwise. Strzok essentially watered down all of the evidence surrounding Hillary's illegal server, and then was the agent responsible for questioning Michael Flynn.
But you have to ask yourself, given the history of everybody involved in that case, who were involved in the Hillary email server case, where they conducted a totally irresponsible, unprofessional criminal investigation, and then they turn up the heat on this investigation of Flynn, the same agency. This is politics. The Bureau has been politicized.
The Justice Department recently verified that Strzok had been exchanging emails insulting President Trump and was engaging in an extramarital affair with Mueller's trial lawyer, Lisa Page. And that was enough controversy to have Strzok move to a human resources desk where Devin Nunes pestered Strzok for an interview.
All we were doing was sending 2 of our investigators down there to begin to go through the documents to ensure that the documents that we had subpoenaed were provided. When my investigators got there, there were 4 other staff from the other side of the aisle, including a member of Congress, the ranking member from our committee, which seems to me to be very bizarre behavior since
Adam Schiff was there. Adam Schiff was there. Two Nancy Pelosi staffers were there, correct?
Yeah, so I think here's the bizarre part of it. They didn't support the subpoena. They said there was no reason to see this documentation. So I don't know why they would run down there and be the first people to review the information.
What does that tell you?
Well, it tells me that they're very, very nervous.
Nunes told the Daily Caller this is part of a months-long pattern by the DOJ and FBI of stonewalling and obstructing the committee's oversight work, particularly oversight of their use of the Steele dossier. Unfortunately, Strzok is just one of the Democrats fueling Mueller's witch hunt. The Daily Caller reports at least 9 of Mueller's prosecutors have donated to Democratic political candidates, and all of the legal actions taken so far in Mueller's investigation have involved pro-Democrat prosecutors. The lawyers working the money laundering case against former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort and his associate Rick Yates have donated to Obama's presidential campaigns. Strzok is the face of the infiltration of the deep state upon the federal government, a big clue revealing the hordes of Obama and Hillary Clinton loyalists working to undermine the highest office in the land.
All right, we'll be back.
John Bound reporting for...
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live broadcasting worldwide. I'm Alex Jones, your host. Thank you so much for joining us today, Thursday, the 7th day of December, 2017. We're going to be live here for the next 4 hours. Remember, the globalists, the multinationals that are anti-free market have been trying to shut down free speech here in America and in Europe. They've been trying to adopt communist Chinese-style systems of control. And they're trying to focus in on INFOWARS and use us as the case point example because they know we are the most effective at alerting the population of the planet to their criminal operations. So when you share the local radio station you're listening to or the local TV station you're watching, when you spread links to InfoWars.com and PrisonPlanet.com and NewsWars.com, it is a revolutionary act. When you spread the live links from InfoWars.com/show. When you share the links you're watching live on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or other platforms or restream them, and post them on your Facebook page or Twitter. It has a giant effect. We're in a war. So don't underestimate how vital, how critical, how absolutely key it is that if you don't spread these links and if you don't reach out to people and tell people about the show, the censorship and control will be successful. If you spread the word, the Streisand effect will kick in and it will explode in their face. The Streisand effect is if they try to censor somebody and people take interest and spread the word, it generally blows up 10 times bigger than it would have. But now we're up against AI and a lot more. So it's really up to all of us. And you've been doing it, and we've been swimming upstream and having victory here. And they're really, really getting panicked. But we are under attack, so we need your hope, your prayer, and your support now more than ever. And I know you will do it. So for myself, my family, the crew, and everybody else who's in this fight together, I salute you all because you are the resistance. I can officially say that we've gone from the establishment being in very serious trouble globally to them now being in danger of complete and total absolute implosion. We're looking at the death of the New World Order, the death of the Anglo-American establishment, the death of the whole globalist authoritarian system. And when I say Anglo-American establishment, it has nothing to do with Anglos. That is the technical term used by Zbigniew Brzezinski and by David Rockefeller and by other top globalists for their global combined system, meaning Anglo-American, meaning a U.S. British Empire power axis with a particular worldview that's not for the U.S. or the U.K., but that parlays our power into the world to establish a corporate, anti-free market, austerity-based world government. And that is countervailing the American system. So that is in deep trouble. And what is certainly on the rocks and breaking up and that cannot be put back together again is the Democratic Party. The fact that they tried to steal the election, the fact that they did steal it from Bernie Sanders in the primary, the fact that they got caught in the WikiLeaks, the fact that the mainstream media went along with it all and the establishment went along with it all, irrevocably didn't just blow mortal wounds in the side of the Democrats, but mortally wounded politically, financially, culturally, the entire mainstream media dinosaur combine that was already on its last legs. And now it has infected their entire global system, and it is a chain reaction domino effect all over the world as people become wise to it. Their entire facade, their entire hoax, their entire curtain, smoke screen with the man behind it, you know, running the powerful Oz machine has collapsed. There's still a lot of zombies and people that don't notice, but everybody that is thinking person is now admitting this is the case and that a worldwide tyranny was being established by very, very ruthless people with a eugenics worldview and aim. And so the fact that the FBI under Comey and under Mueller are just the poster children for hubris, arrogance, narcissistic loon behavior. I mean, it's just a total confidence game. And the way they protected the Clintons on all their different crimes, the Foundation and Uranium One and the secret servers and the lying to Congress and lying to the FBI. I mean, I'm not going to, and stealing money from the Haitians and being caught smuggling children on airplanes with convicted pedophiles. It would take hours to list it all. Most people, you start trying to think about the Clintons' crimes, it makes your head hurt because there's so many examples. So, pulling back from it, the fact that the power structure bet everything on Hillary, and the fact that they said, if we don't get Hillary in, globalism is going to collapse. Financial Times of London, New Yorker Magazine, Atlantic Monthly, all the so-called elite publications, all the folks that had hijacked America and thought they were invincible. A year and a half ago, they were saying, if Hillary loses, it's going to cause a chain reaction. We ought to pull those articles up where they hit the panic button in the Rothschild-owned Economist, Financial Times of London. I mean, it was hundreds of them said, if she goes down, it's a chain reaction. And boy, you weren't lying. Because they'll lie in mainstream stuff to the public. But in those more establishment publications, they're like, we're going to have the CIA kill the president. And then Phil Mudd thinks he can just go on CNN and say it. Well, guess what? The Secret Service is investigating that. I can tell you that they are investigating Mudd. They are investigating Clapper, Brennan, that went on the Aspen Institute 3 months ago and said he'll be gone by December extrajudicially. They said it won't be impeachment. I know that's legislative, but it's a judicial function of the legislative branch. That's what impeachment is. An indictment in the House, a trial in the Senate. And so the Secret Service just wanted me to know from Washington that this was 2 days ago, that they are investigating these people, and just said, do you have any more info? And so I'm getting them a bunch of information. Where they weren't even aware of some of the times Democrats and FBI operatives, he wasn't just CIA, also FBI, Mudd, who it appears his great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was convicted of aiding John Wilkes Booth killing Lincoln. That's why they say your name will be Mudd. I'm not kidding. You can't make this up. They're investigating them all. And I guess they just want them to know that, too. They just go ahead and tell people. We are investigating them. So analysts on Trump, the government's going to kill this guy. Well, Mr. Mudd, you had your big con game up there trying to act powerful and act tough to other rogue groups in the government to think, man, if they're talking about killing him on TV, he must be weak. You don't think people weren't aware of that? And now it's come out that Eric Prince and all these other groups have had private security the entire time. I mean, I knew this but didn't talk about it. I know the other groups as well out of Florida that have been protecting Trump the entire time. Trump's not stupid. And they've got counter surveillance on you. And now it's time for you to know that. Mr. Mudd and Mr. Clinton and Mr. Hillary and all the rest of you people and the Morning Joe. You don't think the president would just bring up that mysterious death of the intern getting her brains beat out in the middle of the night in your office if he wasn't intending to have some folks reopen that, because there's no statute of limitations if it's deemed that, and if her body's exhumed, some are talking about that this was actually murder. So I'm just saying, you guys want to play this game, you're about to get to play the game. You want it, you got it. See, a total overturn, a total new system, back to America, back to the future. Because America's been the future since we were founded. We've been the cutting edge of wanting liberty and striving and invention. And now we're getting back to the future. You see, we're getting back to what was the cutting edge instead of back to the super ancient feudalism of globalism. Dead GOP AIDS autopsy report not released to the media. Well, Mr. Scarborough, you better run that con game up there on TV and act even more confident with you and Mika when you really shake it in your boots. And you should be, little man. We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Alex Jones. Okay, let me do this just so people know how important this transmission is. Let me just read you some of the headlines that we'll be breaking down in detail throughout the transmission and tell you about some of the guests that are going to be joining us as well. But if you just tuned in, the old establishment that's anti-free market, that's pro-monopoly, and that's anti-Western and anti-Christian is getting broken up right now. The globalist, leftist, communist, robber baron-funded system that wanted to create a worldwide monopoly and end competition is being busted up right now globally just because the people have woken up and don't want it, and there are now savvy individuals in government and in corporations and in the military that want prosperity and aren't complete psychopaths and are ready to ride this wave to power. And I just say, come on in, come to power, and let's go to the stars. It's real simple. What did we tell Hillary during the whole campaign? We had a theme song for her, a little bit vulgar, but because it insults female dogs, and I don't want to insult female dogs. The term isn't strong enough. But how's a ludicrous song go? Move, bitch, get out the way. You see them headlights? You see them TVs? Who bought them TVs? Tell me that. The point is that get out the way, get out the way, get out the way. Move, get out the way, get out the way. Get out the way. We don't want to fight with each other. We don't want to be a bunch of idiots. We don't want to fund radical Islamic groups to stir stuff up so we have an excuse to be in the Middle East. The weird Machiavellian geopolitical underhanded crap is bye-bye. That's not how we want to run civilization. It doesn't work. It works for scumbags that don't want prosperity and want to sit on top of third world banana republics. We don't want that. It doesn't mean if we shoot for being a pure society, we're ever going to reach it, but it's a lot better than trying to be evil. So we're not selling a utopia. We're simply selling the Americana Renaissance system, the Enlightenment that we know is the best system by light years. Now, that said, coming up next segment, I'm going to get into the nightmare fires in California and some of that unbelievable footage and all the other plagues that have come upon the state. Also, mainstream media is demonizing the president for keeping his promises and just talking about how terrible it is and how horrible it is. Donald Trump, keeper of promises, is what CNN says. And then they've got these graphs showing how he kept all his promises and is trying to keep the others and just how terrible this is. We're going to get into that. And then we're also going to get into Hamas leader calls for new intifada in the face of Israel. All Trump did was keep his promise, follow the law. 3 other presidents were scared to do it. And just say, we're calling your bluff. If you claim to attack us, if we have an embassy in a city where everybody else has their embassies, then go ahead. We're not going to give in to the threat of terrorism is what that statement is. We've got Al Franken, who's announced he's resigning, John Conyers, all of that. Russian military mission accomplished, Islamic State defeated in Syria. We have excerpts of the incoming FBI director defending the agency amid Trump criticism and the implosion of confidence in the agency after they were caught being completely political. They didn't just get caught. Mueller covered up everything for the Clintons. So did Comey. He does that fake Christian lordy, lordy thing. I just am a good man of the Lord. I never even seen a woman with her clothes off. I just go to church 9 days a week. Lordy, lordy. Yeah, right. Call me behind the scenes is... Woo! Anyways, lordy, lordy, I think would be the word for that. Let's just say as phony as the $3 bill. But their attempt to get rid of Trump is baloney, and it's about 1 million years late, $1 trillion short. So that's coming up as well. Meanwhile, the encryption cryptocurrency market is now worth more than J.P. Morgan, which is worth $300+ billion. So now I'm wishing I'd invested in Bitcoin, but I couldn't understand it. And people said, it's fiat like the government's money. And I go, well, I know their money's fraudulent too, but I guess it's just been allowed to operate and be the new dominant system. 370 billion smackers. And of course, Bitcoin's a part of that, but wow, that's coming up as well today. So much to get to. We've got Senator Grassley just destroyed them in a 35-minute speech he gave on the floor of the Senate yesterday. We're going to play some powerful excerpts of that first. But before I go any further, I have something I want to announce here today, and I think everybody should listen to me very, very carefully because we spend a lot of time and energy on this. I know folks love super male vitality, and it's wonderful. I know folks love Anthroplex. It's excellent. But I set out to bring you a top-of-the-line formula with one of the top developers in the country that is so strong and so powerful that a lot of you probably won't even want to take it. You'll probably want to take the Anthroplex or the Alpha, the Super Male Vitality, because this new product, Alpha Power, actually has all the major clinical studies. We're even able to make major claims on it. We went out and got the certified, approved, most expensive ingredients, but sold to you at a price that leading competitors sell that is 50 times weaker. You heard me right. 50 times. This, we can say, this is the strongest formula with these known hit compounds that anybody's got, and they're seen as safe. Now, that said, ladies and gentlemen, you better be careful with this. Alpha Power. Now, it's targeted at males, but it works great on women as well. The secret ingredient behind the all-new Alpha Power is the main ingredient, LJ100. Now, folks that know what that is know about it, but if you don't, you need to find out about it. It is the most potent, highest quality, and most studied extract in its category on the market. This ingredient is extracted to the most potent form available while maintaining the bioactive portion of the plant in the secret proprietary extraction process that ensures it's not been deteriorated or had any of its properties taken. It's not been denatured. Let me just explain this to you. Not only is it many times stronger than any other leading competitor that has just the so-called herbs, the way it's concentrated, ladies and gentlemen, is just completely insane. And it is just incredibly powerful. That's why you could say it's 50 times stronger than what other brands have with the so-called plant extract, because LJ100 is patented, proven, documented, studied to just be the ultimate. And we've got a huge amount of it, ladies and gentlemen, in each capsule. What we can say, what I'm allowed to say, this is from the lawyers: boosts sports performance, increases physical and mental energy, helps maintain normal high free testosterone levels in men, which most men are low, boosts healthy alpha pheromones. Yes, there are real alpha pheromones. Improves sleep quality, but you have more energy during the day. Encourages prostate health, helps support healthy cholesterol levels. I mean, this is going to be our bestseller ever. Alpha Power, the first run, now available at InfoWarsStore.com or InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. And I've got like 15 pages of the actual studies and literature on this. Find out today why it's called Alpha Power and support the transmission. We're back live, folks. I'm Alex Jones, your host, and we've got to move quick now because there is so much incredible news to get to. Again, I have Senator Grassley, who is bipartisanly respected as being really fair and even-handed, destroying the partisanship of the FBI and the two-sidedness and the two different standards and the emptiness of the Russiagate witch hunt. And that's because Hillary was going for broke. She'd committed all these crimes. She had to get into the White House. And when she didn't, they had to turn it around and blame Trump for what they'd done. And by the mainstream media and by the other Democrats signing on to this and some Republicans, they have all irrevocably tied themselves to a big old box of rocks and chained their legs to it and thrown themselves into the abyss. That's what they've done here. And it just shows how they believe, because they're in charge of this big, powerful country, that they are invincible, and they're not. So that's coming up. We have several guests joining us. I'll also open the phones up today. But before I go any further here, I'm going to go ahead and get into these reports out of California. We really should be praying for the folks there in California because it's a hellhole situation. You've got the super high taxes, the regulations, the TB outbreaks, homeless people. It seems like defecating all over the place. It looks like scenes out of hell from satellites, and there's footage of people driving around. Most of you have seen it. And you just see huge fires spanning, in some cases, all around them. People wake up in the morning, and the fires were 5 miles away, and now the fires are just in their backyard, and the police and the firefighters are getting totally exhausted. They don't know what to do. And it just really seems biblical. I mean, I'm not saying God's judging California. I'm just saying it looks like something out of Armageddon. But, oh, there's a bunch of Democrats and Hollywood people blaming Trump. They say this is an omen, that, you know, it's because of Trump this is happening. So Ventura fires rage, threatens communities, both coastal and inland. LA Times, huge flames ripping down the mountain. The Thomas fire roars back to life. Homes threatened in Santa Paula. And that's all because of those winds coming from the east, coming out over the west and then out to the sea. One of the images you really ought to see is the satellite images of the fires in California from NASA. It's incredible. Southern Cal fires scorch an area the size of Atlanta, and they're only getting tired, more and more exhausted. LAFD, fire department chief, our people are getting tired. I bet they are. This is just, it's ongoing. Hurricane force gusts could cripple battle versus Southern California and the wildfires. You really got a feel for those folks. Rich residents flee burning Bel Air mansions in 5th Cali wildfire. And it just shows how the rich are not exempt from any of this. But historically, people think as long as something is just down the street, it's not really going to affect them. Well, as we can see now, ladies and gentlemen, just because the fire is over your hill doesn't mean tomorrow it won't be burning down your house. And that's an effective metaphor for just life in general. And the fires of communism, the fires of authoritarianism, the fires of the globalists imploding third world countries. They are being directed by the globalists in their own admissions. They use these crises to try to gain even more power. And in many cases, let the crises get completely out of control. Even if we have good management and are moral and upright and try to not destroy ourselves and the planet, even if we do our best job, it's going to take praying and seeking God's discernment for humanity to make it to a type 1 civilization. That's a civilization that can live outside of its home planet. That's a civilization that makes it out of the nursery. That's a civilization that makes it from being a tadpole into a frog, or from being a caterpillar into a butterfly. And I can tell you right now, the globalists have decided to just mismanage stuff because it's too hard, just use crises to get more control because they think humanity's already over. They're going to merge the machines. They're going to supposedly, just become these AI gods. And so the earth, they just think that they're going to transcend it by destroying it. That's the evil cosmology, the evil worldview, the evil ethos of what are the transhumanists who come out of the whole eugenics movement. Now, I'm not saying your average garden variety, outer court, porch transhumanist is a bad person. They just want to live longer and be cyborgs or whatever. And, of course, there's a lot of innovations there, and a lot of people may choose to do that. The point is the globalists in the inner sanctum of transhumanism are worshiping an AI god that demands all of us first die before the select enlightened are given immortality. Now, I've been telling you that for 20 years since I learned about it, made a film 10 years ago about it. Elon Musk started warning you about a year ago. He said, I go to these meetings, and they say humanity's over, we're getting rid of them. We're going to merge with AI gods. We're building God. Elon Musk goes, listen, I go to these private, off-the-record meetings, and the majority of the billionaires plan to kill everybody. He goes, watch out, people that talk about AI gods. They're anti-human exterminists. And now it's all over the news. Everything I told you. What do you think? I just made this stuff up, and then somebody else picked it up? That's why all the mainstream media edits what I say, takes it out of context, to try to psychologically inoculate people so that when they first run into me live or what I'm actually writing or saying, they just tune out and ignore it, thinking, oh, this guy, this guy made this stuff up. This guy's full of baloney. This guy can't be trusted. Just, again, hoping you don't pay attention. Because, folks, it was in government documents 20 years ago that cable boxes had hidden cameras and microphones in them, and I broke one open on television. And they literally sent private paramilitary after me to attack me physically in a parking lot and tell me to shut up. I mean, that's the type of stuff that's going on, ladies and gentlemen. Because back then, if people would have found out then, there'd have been a big scare, a big freak out. But instead, they roll it out slow. They water it down. They slowly introduce it. Until, okay, yeah, Samsung watches me. Sony watches me. Okay. My cable box watches me. Okay, my smartphone watches me. Okay, Airbnb watches me. Okay, there are animal-human chimeras. Remember, I'd be talking about that 20 years ago? Oh, you're crazy. Now it's in the news. Oh, mice with human brains. Oh, humanoids grown in cows for their organs to be harvested. And they sign waiver forms and stuff. It's been approved, and people are already getting these livers. They're already getting these kidneys. They're just keeping it all DL, down low. But now, you see, they're going to come out with it all. National Geographic and everywhere else. They're going, oh, we just now started doing it. No. It was in industry and DARPA literature that was public 22 years ago is the first time I saw it. And they were reporting on 10 and 15-year-old projects in 1995. They were reporting on 10 and 15-year-old projects that were probably going on before that. So I'm done talking about that for now. When we come back, it's incredible. I've got the graphics from CNN themselves. But from their perspective, they think they're attacking the president. From our perspective, it's incredible, where they show graphs of how he's horrible because he's delivering on his promises and fighting to deliver on the other promises, and how it's the work, and how he's naive, and how he's bad, and how he's stupid. Wait till that comes up. And then Senator Grassley, I mean, it's a 35-minute speech, so we should play all of it, but we've got it boiled down to like 15 minutes. I'm going to air that in the first part of the hour. Then Matt Bracken, former Navy SEAL, counterterrorism expert, joins us about the whole Israel situation, what he thinks Trump's really up to, what he thinks the responses are going to be. And then we have the Breitbart Israel editor joining us to get into that perspective on the whole situation and so much more. And then meanwhile, Obama blocked deportation of 550,000 illegals, more than Atlanta's entire population. That's being reported. INFOWARS.com, NewsWars.com. Spread those links. Thank you. It's escape from globalism. Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing something incredible happen. The entire planet is turning against the globalists, not just here in the U.S., but all over the world. And the Democratic Party is officially now a coastal elites party. It is in free fall collapse. There is a total political realignment. The Republican establishment is in free fall collapse. They're being removed. The Secret Service is investigating Democratic Party and deep state leaders that have been calling for Trump's death and who have been saying he'll soon be out of office. Incredible things are now happening. We feel like we've been the underdog and outside the power structure so long that we just think that the globalists are invincible. They're not. We're going to take the country and the world back, and then it's up to us to be moral and strong and upstanding and to not create a utopia. That's impossible. Look out, anybody tells you they can. But to get back to the closest thing we can to it, which is a rugged individualism-based system. So incredible things are happening. It's an incredible time to be alive right now. That said, the culture of the mainstream media and the culture and the nastiness the globalists have created and the racism and enmity they've created are aftershocks and problems we're going to have to deal with for a long time. We're defeating this current crop of arrogant kleptocrats, but we've still got serious issues to deal with. And you're still going to have a lot of these people trained in deception and trained in upside-down world inversion wandering around society. So there's going to be serious blowback from this. Most of them are getting fired or laid off right now because they couldn't deliver for the establishment. So that's why you see massive layoffs, massive exodus, 50% laid off at Time Warner, layoffs being announced every day because they're frauds. They're piles of garbage. But you're going to have the zombie hordes now kind of wandering the land, setting up their own scallywag and carpetbag operations in your area. And I don't mean northerners coming to the south. I mean, just like people come to any devastated area to take advantage of folks, we're going to see that in the modern sense, just like the refugees from California bring their failed ways to your area and then try to collapse it, not knowing why everything they touch is turns to garbage. But here's the big story. It's all over. ABC News, NBC News, CBS News. They've gone from saying Trump's a liar, Trump's evil, Trump's a fraud. That hasn't worked. To, okay, Trump is telling the truth because they know his constituents and his supporters know he's telling the truth. But that's a bad idea, and he's a rube, and he's a hayseed, and he's a buffoon, and the experts know he's wrong. Same experts said he couldn't win. Same experts said we couldn't have 3% growth rate. Same experts say he couldn't control the border. And so they give a report card. There's two different articles. Donald Trump, keeper of promises. And there's a big article making fun of him and how he's obsessed with delivering. Then they got another article that is a graph breakdown, tracking Trump's promises. And then they go through it with a rundown, where it stands. And this is a rare moment where CNN is actually somewhat honest until the end. Trump Trump's travel ban 3.0 is now snaking its way to the Supreme Court, which said on October 24th it wouldn't hear arguments about the second one, which is now expired. Well, they've actually approved it. About a week earlier, a federal judge in Maryland blocked the third ban, finding that it wasn't tainted by religious discrimination. Another federal judge in Hawaii did the same thing, saying it plainly discriminates based on nationality. More details here. So they throw a racism thing up front that has nothing to do with it when it's about sovereignty and basic vetting and not having the UN vet who comes into the country. That's who's been in charge. Trump's now pulled out of that. And they finally get into what he's actually done. Number one, Trump signs an executive order, suspends for 90 days the entry of persons from 7 heavily Muslim nations: Syria, Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Yemen, and this order. And it goes on to say he delivered on that front. Then it continues, and you know where it currently stands at this level. But the best way to do this is just to put the graph back on television for me, please. And because this printed off differently than I actually read the whole thing this morning. So there it is. He's about 30% there on repealing and replacing Obamacare. I'd say with these latest tax votes, he's about 70% there. But at least they admit he's trying to do it. Halt Muslim entry to the U.S., they say he's 80% there. That's unvetted Muslims. So again, the lies are in the headlines, but still they're admitting he did what he said he'd do. Halt Muslim entry in the U.S. No, he's halting unvetted people from countries that don't even have real passports. Move the U.S. Embassy to Israel from Jerusalem. They say he's halfway there. Withdraw from Paris Climate Agreement, 100%. That's the global carbon tax that Al Gore makes money off of and that India and China and everybody else are exempt from. Block Syrian refugees. They say he's 70% there. Reverse environmental restrictions. You mean red tape meant to shut us down? They say he's about 60% there. Improve Russian relations. He's 10% there, but they're not letting him go the rest of the way. Build a U.S.-Mexico border wall. They say he's 20% there. I'd say it's more like 40% because they're already building the demos and started. That's half the battle. Deport millions of undocumented immigrants. He's already deported about 35%. Green light pipelines like DAPL and Keystone. He's 90% there. Withdraw from the TPP, global total takeover, 100% there. Renegotiate from the withdrawal of NAFTA and GATT, 70% there. That's accurate. I can't believe CNN actually told the truth partly. I was amazed this morning. Lower taxes for individuals and corporations. He's about 15% there. And with this week's tax vote, I'd say he's 40% there. Reintegrate and renegotiate the Iran deal, 20% there. Bring back torture, 0% there. That's something I don't really agree with, and he backed off that. He's just being open when he thought, because it's already going on. And he was just being honest, and I don't even agree with it, but then I agree that he's being honest. So there you go. That's actually not true. They're torturing people, okay? Believe me, they're torturing a lot of folks that are ISIS or Al-Qaeda, and I think it's dangerous to turn into what we're fighting, but there you go. It's certainly been working so far, though. Get rid of Common Core. Hasn't got that done yet, but it's trying. Defeat ISIS. They say he's 95% there, 90% there. Create a Muslim registry. That's how they spun it. It's not a Muslim registry. It's an extremist registry of people saying they want to kill folks, okay? So that's just a fake point at the end. Build a Guantanamo Bay. That's not what he said. Rebuild America's infrastructure. They say 0. No, he's already gotten about 15% of that going. They're just trying to tell you, like Lloyd Blankfein said, it'll never happen. And then the final big lie. They lie about him rebuilding America's infrastructure. He's gotten that going. And they lie about him bringing back jobs from overseas. Thousands of companies have announced they're coming back. Hundreds have come back. And he stopped hundreds from leaving. So at the end, they lie about some of his biggest accomplishments. How about the stock market? He said he wanted to get the stock market up at record levels. How about getting consumer confidence back? Record levels. How about getting small business startups back? Record levels. So they don't really show everything he's done by a long mile, crushing political correctness, getting more visits for our VA folks. It's up massively. Something like they've almost doubled the amount of appointments they're getting, and they're now privatizing it out and stuff. I mean, so he's delivering there. And I'm not worshiping Trump. I'm worshiping the truth. You shall know the truth, it shall set you free. The power of truth. And it's just the truth. And I'm surprised that they're having to admit some of the truth. But in the article, they spin it like he's a buffoon. Everybody knows you're supposed to lie. Everybody knows you're not supposed to tell your constituents the truth. Everybody knows, and you know, all the experts say he's an idiot and blah, blah, blah. No, you're the idiots that hijacked the country and then now think it belongs to you and are mad we're taking it back. Now, before I end this hour, we have a bunch of specials that are going to end this weekend coming up. That's 50% off the high-quality Super Blue toothpaste for adults and children, emboldened and empowered and fortified with colloidal silver and iodine. 50% off, and so is the concentrated mouthwash. It's called Dr. Jones. That's my dad, a dentist and oral surgeon's Super Blue toothpaste, made by one of the biggest organic manufacturers in the country. We have the Vitamin Mineral Fusion. It is 50% off as well, and a bunch of other big specials. And now the new ultimate female and male stamina, energy, libido, brain, heart, body, sleep, because it makes you more awake during the day and more sleepy at night. You can actually make these claims because a bunch of the stuff in it is certified and patented and confirmed. Boosts sports performance, increases physical and mental energy, helps maintain normal high free testosterone levels in men, boost healthy alpha pheromones. Just one of the ingredients is LJ100. LJ100 is super potent level. So be careful, folks. This isn't a game. Alpha Power at InfoWarsLife.com. Hour number 2 coming up.